What's up, everybody? This is Missy from Lansing Hoops, and today we're going to cover another tip on how to be a more effective flow teacher. Today's question revolves around how to schedule a series of classes over the course of a month or a couple months or a year, whatever it is that you are teaching. So a lot of people have asked, if I wanted to be a hoop teacher or a POI teacher or something like that, how do I structure each class from week to week? How do I decide what my curriculum is? So what I like to do, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. This is just one way. But what I like to do is to start with what it is that I'm trying to teach that group of students. So first you have to think about who it is that you're teaching, if it's beginners, intermediate, advanced, if it's someone who has an auxiliary skill, like let's say this is a group of dancers and they're coming in and they want to learn hoop, their goals and needs are going to be different than someone who's a very first-time beginner hooper, someone who doesn't exercise at all. So first decide who it is that you're talking to, and then what it is that you want them to walk away from the course with at the end of your program, whether that's 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 3 months, whatever it is. What would you like them to be able to walk away with and be able to show someone else how to do, or that they can do themselves? So what I do is divide my skills up into different categories of hooping. So for me, that's on body, and then for off body, that includes arm and hand tricks, and then that would include leg tricks, which I don't do a lot of personally. That would include flow, which is its own skill, learning how to dance and move with your hoop and how to be intuitive, less inside your head. That's its own skill. We spend a week on choreography, which is kind of the opposite of flow, where you've already predetermined what you're doing. And there's a couple other things that I cover weekly. So what you want to do is divide the main things that you are teaching up into really broad categories like hand tricks or on-body tricks, okay? And then within each week, you will take that lesson. Let's say that this is the lesson on body or core hooping. Then you'll use the technique that I talked about last week, where you divide the class up into different skill ranges and then gradually add on to the technique that you're teaching. So within each class, that's how you do it. But from week to week, you pick one broad category like core hooping or leg hooping, and when you go into class that day, that's the only thing that you're going to cover. So you would not come into class and say, okay, we're going to learn waist hooping and we're going to learn wedgies today. It doesn't make sense, because one is core hooping and one is like an off-body sort of leg hooping. Unless you were doing a choreography and you knew that your students already knew both of those tricks, then it would make sense to cover both of those. But you wouldn't just randomly decide to do those 2 tricks. If you wanted to do 2 tricks, on core day, you might do waist hooping and chest hooping, because that's both core. On leg day, you might do like foot hooping while you're laying down on the floor, and foot hooping where you have your foot in front of you like this, because that's 2 different tricks, but it's both leg hooping or foot hooping, if that makes sense. So this is how you structure your class from week to week in order to make sure that at the end of everything, your students walk away having learned everything that you wanted them to learn in the beginning. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to Lansing Hoops and tune in next week for another tip on how to be a more effective flow teacher.